Here are the top stories for today, January 20, 2022. COVID-19 booster shots now within easier reach. The government and major pharmacies roll out third doses through the Resbakuna sa botika program. No tighter curbs as the palace says Metro Manila situation still falls under alert level 3. Another round of massive vaccination is possible by April if the government misses its target of 77 million fully vaccinated Pinoys. Mayor Sara takes a swipe at a fellow vice presidential candidate's remarks against her proposal for mandatory military service, saying she only wants to instill patriotism among the youth. And the Foreign Affairs Department is keeping a close watch on the situation of Filipinos in Tonga as the island nation reels from last weekend's eruption of an underwater volcano. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The government simultaneously launched its Resbakuna sa botika drive this morning at the various cities in Metro Manila. The government has partnered with the country's biggest drugstores and clinic networks to boost vaccination against COVID-19. The details from Marita Mawahe.
In Manila, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III and Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso led the rollout of the Resbakuna sa botika at the Mercury Drug Leon Ginto branch. Dumagoso says the Resbakuna sa botika is an additional access for Manileños who want to get vaccinated against the coronavirus. For his part, Duque urges the public, especially those who remain hesitant to get vaccinated, to get the life-saving shot, as he assured that all COVID-19 vaccines are safe and efficacious. In Pasig City, fully vaccinated residents aged 18 years old and above may now acquire booster shots or additional COVID-19 doses at the Watson's SM Center starting today. Present during the rollout of the Resbakuna sa botika program in the city is National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. Galvez says the government tapped 7 pharmaceutical companies to ramp up the COVID-19 vaccination program. The Vaccine Czar thanked the government's partner pharmacies for helping the country to boost the provision of greater access to life-saving vaccines. In Marikina City, the pilot run of the Resbakuna sa botika program is launched at the South Star Drug along Bayan-Bayanan Avenue. Present at the event were Marikina City Mayor Marcy Chodoro, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez, and Robinson CEO and President Robina Gokongweipe. Meanwhile, Presidential Advisor for COVID-19 Response Vivencio Dizon earlier clarified that only booster shots will be given in the participating pharmacies in the Resbakuna sa botika. Walk-in vaccinees are also allowed provided that they undergo on-site registration. He also said that the government aims to pilot test the COVID-19 vaccination in pharmacies for 1 week before expanding this effort in other parts of the country. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muahe.
The National Capital Region has not yet reached the threshold to trigger an alert level 4 escalation. Malacanang says NCR is still below the 70% bed utilization rate. Cabinet Secretary and Acting Presidential Spokesperson Carlo Nograles says the occupancy rate of Metro Manila's intensive care unit beds is at 53%, isolation beds at 48%, and ward beds at 60%. Metro Manila remains under alert level 3 until the end of the month. Meanwhile, Nograles says the government is looking at the possibility of holding another national vaccination days. Nograles says this is another strategy in case the government misses its target to fully vaccinate 77 million people before the month of April. As of January 18, the country has administered 120.6 million doses and fully vaccinated over 56 million people. The Department of the Interior and Local Government urges local government units to come up with creative ways to deal with unvaccinated persons. This after Interior Secretary Eduardo Año commends the local government of Taguig for convincing the unvaccinated persons caught at the checkpoints to get their first COVID-19 jab. Año says the practice should be adopted by other LGUs as about 400 violators were able to get their first dose at the vaccination sites. Taguig City has been doing the practice since January 7, which is the first day of implementation of restricting unvaccinated persons to their homes. Meanwhile, Quezon City is also all out in boosting the vaccination drive along with the no vax, no ride policy. So far, a total of 570 unvaccinated commuters who were caught at the various checkpoints in the city have received their first dose of COVID-19 jabs. Mayor Joy Belmonte meanwhile assures that unvaccinated individuals who need to go out to acquire essential goods or services, as well as those who have medical conditions that prevent them from getting vaccinated, were exempted. Other unvaccinated individuals who were hesitant to get vaccinated were not forced and were instead sent home and asked to get a certification from a licensed physician and their respective barangay for clearance as proof that they cannot get vaccinated. Meanwhile, only 2% of railway passengers who took part in the free random antigen testing were found positive for COVID-19. In a Facebook post, the Department of Transportation says out of the 258 antigen tests done at the LRT2, MRT3, and PNR, only 5 persons tested positive. This is lower than the 10% positivity rate recorded on January 13 when 23 of the 228 passengers tested positive for the virus. Those who tested positive were not permitted to ride trains, were asked to return home, isolate, and report to their respective barangay health emergency response team. The DOTR says the free random antigen testing of volunteering passengers at the NCR Railway aims to curb the spread of COVID-19 in public transportation. Manila City formally opens the Manila Zoo to the public for leisure and COVID-19 vaccination. Visitors can now enjoy seeing beautiful butterflies, koi, and botanical gardens, as well as an aviary. 48-year-old elephant Molly, which has been the star of the zoo, has been transferred back to an area double the size of her previous enclosure in the old Manila Zoo. Other animals such as alligators, monkeys, birds, and deer are also on display. Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso says the city government is working on acquiring more animals for the zoo. He also says that due to the pandemic, Manila Zoo can only accommodate up to 1,000 people per day from its previous 16,000 capacity to prevent violation of health protocols. Apart from sightseeing, the 5-hectare zoo is also one of the city government's venues for the COVID-19 vaccination drive. Manila Zoo is free for both Manila and non-Manila residents. Walk-ins are not allowed. You may place your reservations at their website, www.manilazoo.ph. Manila Zoo is open to the public Monday to Sunday from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. daily. There is no reason to panic and hoard medicines. This is announced by the Department of Health in Central Visayas amid reports of 22 confirmed cases of the Omicron COVID-19 variant in the region. Dr. Mary Jean Loreche, DOH-7 Chief Pathologist, says people are swarming the drugstores to buy medicines for fever, cough, and cold over reports of the presence of Omicron, and that pharmacies in Cebu are running out of flu medicines. As such, she says the DOH held a meeting with the distributors, suppliers, and pharmaceutical associations and assures that more medicines will be supplied in the area starting today. She also advised people who are suffering from flu-like symptoms to buy generic drugs or try an alternative therapy such as drinking lots of water, taking ginger tea or calamansi juice, as well as having sponge bath with lukewarm water to control body temperature. She also urges the people to go back to the basics in fighting COVID-19, including the proper wearing of face masks, physical distancing, washing of hands, and staying at home. Meanwhile, Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia told the 44 mayors to refrain from requiring the presentation of vaccination card as a requirement for any educational, employment, and other similar government transaction purpose. Garcia, who issued the memo following reports that teachers and parents were made to present their vaccination cards before entering a school facility to get the modules of their children. She reiterated that the no vaccine, no work policy is not allowed by the law. Garcia's memo, however, does not cover the policy issued by the Department of Transportation, which requires commuters to present a vaccination card as a requirement in riding public transport. Still ahead, the presidential daughter is not mincing words against a fellow candidate's remarks opposing her call for mandatory conscription. And a poll body official refutes allegations of delaying the ruling on the disqualification cases against Bongbong Marcos. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Commander Dito Ocampo po ng Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary para sa kumpanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit natin kailangan magpabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Dahil mahal mo ang iyong sarili, pamilya at bayan. Ang bakuna ang tiyak na paraan para tuluyang mapigilan ang pagkalat ng virus. May mga patunay na mababa ang porsyento ng pagkalat ng COVID-19 sa mga nabakunahan na. At matapos mabakunahan, malaki na ang tsansa na makabalik ka sa normal mong pamumuhay. Kaya tulad ko magparehistro na at magpabakuna na kontra COVID-19. Muli po, ako si Commander Dito Ocampo, Disiplina Muna Ambassador. Nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna dahil bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro tayo at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte hit Vice Presidential candidate Walden Bello for his remark about her stand on mandatory military service. For Bello, the presidential daughter's imposition of mandatory military service for all 18 years old and above if she gets elected in the second highest post is a mask-off moment for the dictator in waiting. But for Sara, she said, only the likes of Bello would think of mandatory military service for Filipino citizens as arming them and telling them to kill instead of looking at it as something that inspires patriotism in the youth. In a statement, she said she truly hopes that our youth do not grow up to be like a Walden Bello, an ungrateful citizen who sleeps peacefully at the comfort of their homes, unable to say a prayer or a silent thank you to the men and women who became martyrs while countering violent extremism, insurgency, and terrorism. An official of the Commission on Elections shrugged off claims that they are delaying the resolution of the disqualification cases against presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos. First Division Presiding Commissioner Rowena Guanzon said it is not correct to say that they are delaying the resolution of cases in order to favor one party. At the same time, she added that the cases filed against the former senator, which are pending before the First and Second Divisions, have different grounds. Earlier, Guanzon said the ruling on the disqualification cases filed by Bonifacio Ilagan and others, Akbayan Party and Abubakar Mengelen, is sent to be out by the middle of January. On Monday, the poll body's Second Division denied the petition filed by Father Christian Buenafe, among others, to cancel the COC of Marcos for lack of merit. More than half of the hotel workers across Metro Manila have received their booster shots against COVID-19. The Department of Tourism said roughly 13,500 out of the 25,386 hotel workers in the region have been given the additional jab. Meanwhile, over 288,000 or 88% of the country's initial target population of 325,489 tourism workers have already been inoculated against COVID-19. This leaves only 11.3% or less than 37,000 tourism workers who have yet to receive their first dose. Tourism Undersecretary Woodrow Makiling Jr. said more are expected in the coming days as the government ramps up vaccination amid the rising cases due to the Omicron variant. In Boracay alone, the National Task Force Against COVID-19 earlier committed to allocate 20,000 vaccine doses to be administered as booster shots to the island's tourism workers. At least 144 women workers in Legazpi City who were displaced from their jobs are now able to work and earn again through the Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged and Displaced Workers or TUPAD program. TUPAD, a community-based emergency employment package, is a project of the national government through the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE. Each beneficiary will receive 3,100 pesos for working 4 hours every day for 10 days in their communities. They were also given TUPAD t-shirts as well as personal protective equipment such as hats, face masks, and personal hygiene kits that they will use while working. In a statement, DOLE Regional Director Maria Zenaida A. Angara Campita said, despite the challenges brought about by the pandemic, the agency has intensified its services to help the people recover from their losses. She said, choosing women as beneficiaries of TUPAD is a strong advocacy of the agency. The Anti-Red Tape Authority has simplified the use of S-Pass or Safe, Swift, and Smart Passage travel management system. ARTA, along with other government agencies, directed all local government units to use S-Pass for the application and approval of travelers in their respective areas. LGU should also integrate their contact tracing apps with S-Pass to have an interoperable travel management and contact tracing system for domestic travel. LGUs must also monitor and process on a day-to-day basis to approve or reject applications they receive through the S-Pass. Among the requirements indicated in the S-Pass include a vaccination card or certificate, government-issued identification cards, and confirmation of accommodation at the point of destination. Some LGUs may also require negative results of COVID-19 tests. Up next, help from the Vatican. Pope Francis donates some 5 million pesos for the victims of Typhoon Odette. And the DFA says Filipinos in Tonga are safe after a volcanic eruption rocked the island nation. More stories when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Mga kabida, COVID-19 may be here for a while as we continue to aim for population protection through vaccination. So to keep you and your family safe, look for the Safety Seal sticker whenever you go to malls, eat out in restaurants, or visit any private or public establishments. This Safety Seal certification signifies that an establishment is compliant with health and safety protocols set by the government to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Kaya, you're guaranteed of health and safety consciousness of the places you go to. Remember, bida ang may tatak. Check if there is a safety seal along the entrance area of the place you're visiting para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan.
Barangay authorities in Kidabawan City are working to ramp up vaccination against COVID-19 by going house to house and encouraging residents to get vaccinated. Here is our report.
Barangay Sudapin, Kidapawan City on Wednesday initiated Oplan Katok that urges unvaccinated villagers to get themselves immunized against COVID-19. Barangay Chairman John Carl Sibug said health workers, midwives, together with the barangay peacekeepers, will lead the activity aiming to convince the target population to respond to the government's call to attain mass immunity. A scheduled on-site vaccination is also set to be held at their barangay center to make it more accessible to local residents. Sudapin had some 12,000 residents and only 80% have been vaccinated, prompting barangay officials to do something to get remaining 20% vaccinated. Meanwhile, the city of Sagay in Negros Occidental has required public utility vehicle drivers and operators, as well as market vendors and lessees, to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Based on Executive Order 2 Series of 2022 issued by Mayor Alfredo Marañon III, anyone who refuses to undergo vaccination will be required to submit a current negative RT-PCR test result. City government offices may also validly refuse entry or deny service to individuals who remain unvaccinated or are partially vaccinated and require proof of vaccination before they may undertake or qualify for certain activities. Authorities in General Santos City have also started implementing the no vaccination card, no entry policy for all persons entering establishments in the city. Under Executive Order 1 Series of 2022, the Barangay and Philippine National Police would be asking for vaccination certificates or vaccination cards on COVID-19 upon entry into the establishments. The policy started January 17 as stated on the EO issued by Mayor Ronel Rivera. The city's 26 barangays are now implementing the new policy. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Pope Francis has donated around 100,000 euro or around 5 million pesos as financial assistance for the victims of Typhoon Odette. Church-run Radio Veritas reported on Wednesday that the Holy Father allocated the financial aid for the rehabilitation of damaged homes and churches in provinces severely hit by the disaster. During his Angelus last December 19, the Pope extended prayers for the victims of the typhoon. At present, the social arms of the Church, including Caritas Philippines and Caritas Manila, are conducting relief, rehabilitation, and reconstruction in affected dioceses. Caritas Manila has distributed up to 20 million pesos in cash assistance to the affected areas. Meanwhile, in Dumaguete City, Bishop Julito Cortez called on the faithful to pray for the victims of Typhoon Odette in a day of simultaneous masses in their honor. The bishop said the Diocese of Dumaguete will hold the simultaneous holy masses at 6 a.m. on January 24. Cortez said families are asked to submit the names of their loved ones who died in the storm and invite the family members to join the masses. Cortez hoped that this act of communion and solidarity will help console the people and strengthen their hope for the future. And as of Wednesday, the number of families affected by Typhoon Odette has reached a total of 2.33 million, more than a month after it swept the Visayas and Mindanao. The National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, or NDRRMC, confirmed 87 deaths, 193 injured, and 6 others missing. Over 58,000 families are meanwhile still in evacuation centers. Damaged houses were placed at 1.3 million pesos. No Filipinos have so far been reported hurt or killed following the violent eruption of an underwater volcano in Tonga. The Department of Foreign Affairs, through the Philippine Embassy in Wellington, said no casualties have been reported in the Filipino community in Tonga and Samoa as of Wednesday. The embassy also received information from the Association of Filipinos in Tonga that every Filipino citizen has been accounted for. The DFA said there are at least 87 Filipinos in Tonga, 300 in Samoa, and 400 in Fiji. The volcano, which lies between the islands of Hunga, Tonga, and Hunga Ha'aipai, erupted last Saturday, triggering tsunamis and wave alerts in several parts of the globe. Authorities in Tonga, meanwhile, reported that the undersea volcanic eruption has contaminated the entire water supply in the South Pacific nation. The disaster hit most parts on the west side of Tonga's main island. It also badly hit the communication lines on the island. The UN Humanitarian Coordination Office in Geneva said that many people were still missing, while around 100 houses were damaged and 50 completely destroyed. China's foreign ministry announced that it will deliver a batch of emergency supplies to Tonga as soon as possible. On Monday, Australia and New Zealand sent 2 aircrafts to assess the damage. Japan also pledged to provide $1 million in relief. In Misamis Occidental, farmers are turning to strawberry planting as an alternative livelihood during the COVID-19 pandemic. Several farmers whose livelihood were affected by the lockdowns recently ventured into strawberry farming in Don Victoriano, Chongbian Town. Barangays Nueva Vista, Gundawan, and Lake Suminagat are all located at the foot of Mount Malindang, an area suitable to plant strawberries due to its cold climate. The strawberries there sell at around 100 to 150 pesos per plastic container and 500 pesos per kilogram. Strawberry farming was introduced in 2018. Mayor Bertulio Morallon Jr. said the municipality acknowledged the emerging potential of strawberry farming for agri-tourism. DA Region 10 Technical Director Carlota Madriaga said the strawberry in Don Victoriano, Chongbian is one of the emerging crops that can be sold in mainstream markets in the future. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. COVID-19 booster shots now within easier reach. The government and major pharmacies roll out third doses through the Resbakuna sa botika program. No tighter curbs as the palace says Metro Manila situation still falls under alert level 3. Another round of massive vaccination is possible by April if the government misses its target of 77 million fully vaccinated Pinoys. Mayor Sara takes a swipe at a fellow vice presidential candidate's remarks against her proposal for mandatory military service, saying she only wants to instill patriotism among the youth. And the Foreign Affairs Department is keeping a close watch on the situation of Filipinos in Tonga as the island nation reels from last weekend's eruption of an underwater volcano. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.